Welcome to the Candle Business Coach podcast. I'm your host, Kirsty Allen, and I am the Candle Business Coach. I'm also a mum of three and a kindness advocator. This podcast is all about making and selling candles, business development, and mindset, delivered to you with advice, inspiration, and motivation in a new episode every Friday. This episode is proudly sponsored by Aussie Insurance. When you start your candle making business, it's important to set the right foundations in place. Aussie Insurance have created a specialised policy for candle makers which includes public and product liability insurance. They are the only insurance company I recommend for candle makers because they pride themselves on delivering insurance differently. Aussie are an online company and their passion is all about educating and supporting small businesses with the tools you need to grow and succeed along your journey. Visit aussie.com, spelled AUZI.com, to learn how the team can help you with all your insurance needs for your candle business. Welcome back to the podcast, my friend. Today we have another candle maker conversation, this time with the beautiful Sue from Revamped Treasures. Now, Sue, would you like to introduce yourself to listeners and tell us a little bit about your journey with candle making?
Thanks for having me today, Kirsty. My name is Sue, and I tend to sign off on all my monthly emails as Sue, the slightly crazy candle lady. I've been making candles since I think about 2011. And it's a journey that I've just loved the whole way. I'm really lucky that I'm an empty nester, so we don't have children at home. And my husband, who I've been with since I was 16, is so supportive. He is like the Revamped Treasure roadie. He has his own shirt on the back. It says Revamped Treasure roadie, so he helps me set up at markets. I have two grown-up children. We live rurally. I've got a couple of dogs. I've got a new grandchild, and it's just a journey that I have loved every moment of.
I love that you've got the support of your family, because not everyone necessarily has a supportive partner in their business. And I love that you are so passionate about your journey and doing it in accordance with what lights you up, rather than doing what you think anyone else or everyone else thinks that you should do. And we chatted about this just before we hit record in regards to doing your business in a way that makes you happy, not in a way that you think someone else needs to follow that path. It's about doing what's in alignment with you and what your values are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say I probably had that in mind from day dot. So, when I first started at the markets, which I think my first market was 2014, but I started selling quite seriously, I suppose, in 2017. But I set goals for me right from the start. So, yeah, I feel like this candle journey has to fit in with my lifestyle and not the other way around.
Yes, absolutely. Because everyone has different responsibilities in terms of whether they have children at home, whether they work with paid employment, running the household, doing all the things. The idea is that you have a business that slots into your lifestyle and makes it work for you, so that it's something that you can do, you can enjoy, but it doesn't take over your whole world and it doesn't take over every aspect of your life.
I absolutely agree with that. We have a big business outside the candles, like a pretty big one. We employ about 22 people. And so, my husband's quite full on with that. So I work a couple of days a week in our business, but the candles keep me sane. So I work on those when I'm not working in our real job. But when we have weekends off and we're not at markets, I tend not to go to the candle cave at all because I just want that family time. And so, yeah, the candles have to work around our lifestyle.
I feel like that takes a lot of self-discipline as well, to not, as you say, go into the candle cave and just tinker and make some candles or work on the business or do marketing or all the different aspects of running a business. To be able to say, no, this is actually family time. I'm drawing that line in the sand and making sure that I don't encroach on my personal time.
It definitely does, because I can tell you, if I haven't been down to the candle cave for like 3 days, I start to get like withdrawals, and I'm thinking, I've got to get down there. But I think it definitely has to fit in with my lifestyle. Otherwise, it will become a chore. I won't love it. and then I'll give up, So after all this time, I still love it. So I'm really pleased with how it's worked in with our lifestyle.
I love that so much. So tell us about Revamped Treasures. Where does the name come from? What does it mean? And what's your business mission?
Okay, so that is a little bit of a long story. So when I first started making the candles in 2011, it was just for me, but I was also into chalk painting. So, chalk painted furniture was a big fad there for a while. So I was chalk painting furniture, and I had called myself Revamped Treasures, and I was taking them, the big pieces, to market. We'd take a trailer and, 2 or 3 tables and a dozen chairs, all that sort of stuff. And I wasn't taking the candles to market. I had set up a Revamped Treasure page for the furniture, but I quickly learnt at market that I needed a smaller point of sale, So I introduced some little teacup candles. Now, I'd been making them at home for like 6 years before I even started going to market. So I knew what burnt well, and I took them to market, and they just sold like hotcakes. So then I didn't want to change the name because I already had a bit of a following on Facebook. So because they are, what I started with was a vintage type candle, they are my Revamped Treasures, and people do bring my candle jars back for refills so that they become their Revamped Treasure candles, like they're their Revamped Treasures. So the whole mission at markets has been about reusing, refilling and recycling, from the furniture to the candles to the way I set up my display at market. Like I use old vintage boxes to put the candles on. So that's how it sort of started, the Revamped Treasure name. And if I was going to change it, that should have been the point I changed it, when I stopped bringing the furniture. But it just was so easy and people recognised it, so I just stayed with it.
It's a very unique name, and I love the story behind where it all began. It's always so interesting and fascinating to hear the origin stories of why people choose the name of their business, because it's such a personal decision. It's not just, you wouldn't just call it Candle Business A or Exhibit 1 or anything like that. Like it's a personal decision, and when it is in alignment with your values and your mission for your business and what you believe in life as well, it's so important to bring that aspect into your business.
And I do say to people when I'm at market, it feels like I'm saving the world one candle at a time, because I have such a big following of people who bring my glassware back to market for refilling. It's not extra landfill, and people really like that vibe. So, and I'm very particular on what I fill. So it works really well for me. Revamped Treasures, they are their treasures.
So we touched on it a little bit earlier, but I just want to come back to this because I think it's just such an important part of running a business, is to really consider your own thoughts, values, and what you want and what your goals are. But I want you to tell me, please, Sue, why is it okay, or is it okay to only have a in-presence or in-person business as opposed to selling online?
Okay, so I am a people person. I love talking about the candles. And right from the start on the journey, I knew I didn't want to be the biggest candle maker out there. I didn't want to make a fortune. I simply wanted to make a candle that people loved. And I wanted the people that bought them to be able to engage with me. I wanted them to come to market and go, oh my God, Sue, we love your candles. My sister wants one. And so for me, it's about that interaction. And I don't think you get that online. But because I'm a small little business, a micro business, I don't have to, try and sell 100 candles a day. I'm just at selective markets. And because I have been at markets now really consistently from 2017, when I put up a post and say I'm going to be at a market, people come because they know I'm not at every market. I just love that interaction, seeing people smell a candle, and whether they screw their nose up or they love it. I love both of those reactions too, so you don't get that online. And it is interesting because there are times when I go, oh, maybe I should, or maybe I should do this, and that, fear of missing out comes in. But you have to rein yourself back in and go, no, this is what I want to do. I want to have a really good group of candle addicts that come and buy my candles at the market. And they do it because they love it, or they love the candles. Yeah, so I suppose that's what I enjoy about it, that interaction. I love talking to the people. I talk too much.
No, not at all. I think it's important to know that you're actually building a community.
Yeah.
They're connected not only to your candles, but to you as a person, as the business owner. And they obviously appreciate what your mission is and they feel in alignment with that. And that's what creates a loyal customer in a business. It's not just, walking down to or going down to one of the big stores and just picking a candle off a shelf. You're actually creating a movement of people that love Revamped Treasures for what it stands for.
And it is about creating that little community. So I have a Facebook page that's called Revamped Treasures, but then I have a private group that's called Revamped Treasure Addicts. So that private group is just for the people that consistently buy my candles. So I actually invite them personally to that page. And on that page, I'm a little bit more personal. So, and I'm not really sure how Facebook works, but Facebook seems to show the Revamped Treasure Addicts more of my posts than the main page. So anybody that buys from me at market joins that page and they feel like they're part of this little community. And in that little private page, I'll share more intimate things and offer them specials, or, for the next 2 months, everybody that brings a refill down, they get to go into a drawer and win a $50 voucher. And so it's about that being intimate with the customer. Well, I don't like the word customers. It's about being intimate with my candle addicts.
Yeah. No, that's a beautiful way of putting it. And honoring those that are investing their money in you, in your business, is such a beautiful way to run your own business.
Yeah, I like it. It makes it more personal.
Definitely. And I'm sure you're building friendships as well. It's not just a transaction.
That is absolutely true, because I have people that still buy my candles that came to my first market like 6 years ago, and they still come back, and they come back with their friends and their mothers and their sister-in-laws, and it's just this community that keeps growing. And even if they only buy 2 candles a year, they still are coming back.
And as you say, when you post on your page, you say, I'm going to the market, that brings them in, it draws them in, because you're what they want to, you're the person that they want to meet and see and get to know and buy your beautiful products.
Yeah, it is a lovely feeling to have such a beautiful group of candle addicts that follow you. It's great.
And that's taken time to build up to where you are now. It's not something that happens in the first 6 months. It's not something that happens in potentially the first year, particularly if you are focusing on selling online. It takes a lot more effort to build up community, and it'll never be the same as when you're actually meeting people in person. So for the candle maker that wants to just sell online, what advice would you give, or what would you say to that?
I think you're limiting yourself. I absolutely think you're limiting yourself, because there are so many people that sell online, and how do you make your candles stand out online from, the next person? And the next person can be offering a Black Friday special. You've got to keep up with everybody online. I think when you sell at a market, it's so much more personal. And I can go to a market and there are 7 other candle makers. I mean, I have been at market where there are 7 other candle makers. You've just got to put your blinkers on, focus on what you do well. But yeah, I do think by just selling online, you're limiting yourself. But in saying that, people that sell online and don't do markets would say that I'm limiting myself by not selling online. But it's all a choice, I choose just to be the personal seller.
That's right. And unfortunately, not everyone has the ability to go to market, in terms of, they're time limited on the weekends, or they live at a place where there's no markets close to them, or, whatever the reason might be. But as you say, if you're choosing to do just one, there is an essence of being limited, but that's okay. It doesn't matter.
That is okay.
It depends on what your goals are. And for you, Sue, it's so beautifully clear that you're a people person and that you love being around your candle addicts, as you call them.
Yeah.
That's important to you. And that's what's going to give you the longevity in your business, because you can sustain that energy, rather than thinking that you have to compete with every single candle maker that there is in the world.
That's so true, yeah.
I'd love to know, what has been your biggest win in your business so far?
Okay, the biggest win. There have been so many wins. I can remember when I first started selling my candles in a shop called All About House, and I bumped into them one night at a Christmas function, and they asked me to sell my candles, and I was like so excited. I'm doing a little happy dance, woohoo, so, but every win, every step of the way has been a big win. Like when I first set up my web page, or I first sent out my first email. But probably the biggest win with still being here after all these years and still turning up at market and having those same candle addicts come back time and time again. That every time a candle addict comes back, it's like, woohoo, so that's my biggest win. And wins are different to everybody. Honestly, I think I'm the personal person. I like to engage with all the candle addicts. So every time they come back, it's a win.
That's beautiful. Now, if you can cast your mind back to when you first started your business, what sort of challenges did you face? Because I know that I speak to many candle makers now, and they seem to be experiencing a gamut of challenges. But for you, if you can remember, what was some things that really made the journey hard for you?
When I first started, I didn't have a designated candle space. And as I said, I was just doing it for myself, so I didn't need a candle space. So one of the biggest challenges was, you start in your kitchen, you've got your double boiler, you're making your candles. And that became hard work very, very quickly. So my family kicked me out of the kitchen, and then I went into the laundry. So I got this big piece of board, I put it across the laundry tubs, and that was better. I was making in the laundry, but the laundry didn't get done, So I actually then we have a room underneath the house, and it was just dirt floor and, a storage area. So we created the candle cave. We had concrete put in, and in line with my recycle, reuse, refill, we bought a secondhand kitchen. We put that down in there, and I then created the candle cave. So yes, I reckon the hardest thing about starting the candle journey and the challenges was not having a designated space and being able to organise myself properly.
It's one of those things where if you're pulling out all your equipment and packing it away after every time you're making a candle, that could be enough of a barrier for you to go, oh, no, I won't make candles today, because it's so much more effort. Whereas if you do have a dedicated space, and again, not everyone does, but if you can carve out a space where you can focus on making candles and running your business, it's just one less challenge that you need to face when when you're feeling low motivation, or if you're not feeling inspired, or if you're not sure what you can do that day, like in terms of how much time you have available to invest in your business. Removing these little challenges can make the journey a lot easier, and it's all about working smarter, not harder.
Yeah. So definitely not having that designated space would be a challenge, because you could get tired of making candles really quickly. And plus, because I love having a tidy house, for me it really messed with my head. Oh my God, my kitchen's so messy, So yeah, that would have been my biggest challenge.
What about now? What challenges do you face being further along in the journey?
I think being further along in the journey, the challenges I face is saying no and having fear of missing out. Like, I know the direction I want to go in, but I just have to pull myself back. And that's a challenge at times. There'll be 3 or 4 markets coming up, and I'll have to go, no, I'm not going to do all of them. So that can be challenging at times, but I have to stay true to what I wanted to begin with. And it's not until we both retire that I can actually start doing more markets. So that's a challenge for me now, being able to say no.
That's so relatable. There are many people, and myself included, that we don't want to have that fear of missing out. We don't want to say no to opportunities that could lead to, big growth, personally or professionally. But when we zoom out and focus on look to see what we actually wanted in the beginning and what we want for our business. And yes, that will evolve as time goes on. But when we actually look at what we want, it's a lot easier to make those decisions and to say no, because we can see whether it's in alignment with what we actually want.
Yeah, that's true. I wrote down a list of what I wanted to achieve early on, and every now and again I'll flick back to those pages and go, okay, well, I really feel like I've done that, so I don't have to put any more pressure on myself.
I love that. That's really beautiful. And it's funny because when you write things down, you're writing them in the moment of this is how I feel, this is what I think, this is what I want, this is what I know. And then when you look back at it, a week later or a month later or a year later, it can, as you say, it can rein you in because you think, well, that's actually what I really wanted without all these extra pressures of the year that's been or the month that's been or however much time has passed. When you go back to your notes, when you go back to your journal and go, no, this is actually truly what I wanted when I was in a space of clarity and I wrote down my thoughts, this is actually what I want for my business. This is what I want for my life. And honoring that and making decisions and taking action in alignment with that is incredibly important.
It is, but it's still hard.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not. It's certainly, sorry, I'm saying it like it's really easy. It's not. It is challenging, but that takes practice. And that's just part of the personal growth journey, which is very much part of the business growth journey. If you want to grow with your business, you need to grow personally. You cannot have one without the other.
And also for me, doing markets and having my husband who still works full time, I have to consider him too. I don't want to say yes to every market, even though I want to maybe do more than I should, because then that puts him out too. And, we're a team and I have to, work with him as well as me.
That's right. You've got to take care of both of your health as well, making sure that you're not pushing too hard, too fast. For what result in the end? If it's not actually in alignment with what your original goals are, there are other opportunities will always come about. It's not always a case of I'm going to miss out and this is going to be the deciding factor of my business being successful or not. But again, that's that pressure we put on ourselves. If we can just take a step back and really honor what we want from life and our business, it makes those choices that little bit easier.
Yeah, it's about balance.
Absolutely.
This episode is brought to you by the membership for candle makers, the Candle Makers Collective. Becoming a member gives you access to fortnightly online group Q&A coaching sessions to support you, monthly online workshops and trainings to help you grow your business, plus frequent expert guest speakers to inspire and teach you. You'll also have access to an ever-growing resource library with templates, guides, planners, and ebooks. But my favorite aspect of the membership is our exclusive Facebook group for accountability, connection and support. So if you're looking to take your candle business to the next level and learn more about the membership for candle makers, click the link in the show notes for the Candle Makers Collective.
I'd love to know, what are your goals for your business?
This is sort of a good question because when I first started selling at markets, I always said the first few years would be like an apprenticeship. I'm going to go to market, I'm going to work out what sells well, I'm going to work out how to set up displays. I wanted to have that apprenticeship to work towards retirement. So when my husband retires, we intend on traveling a little bit with the candles. So we have an old truck. It's a big black 1966 F truck, and we sell from the back of the truck most of the times. So we want to be able to throw the truck on the back of a car trailer and tow it to markets within like a 3-hour radius. And we might spend, 3 or 4 days in an area, sell the candles, and then come back home. So that was always my goal. Learn as much as I could before we both retire, and then I wanted to travel with the candles. So yeah, that's been my goal from day dot.
I love that so much. I can just imagine just how incredible that will be to load up the truck on the trailer.
Yes, you've got to put it on the trailer. It's too old to drive long distances.
And then to travel into different markets and to experience, different candle addicts and where they're from and what candles light them up, and just to enjoy that whole experience, I think will be really amazing.
Yeah, and to do it together will be nice too. Husband and wife traveling off together, having a good time. It'll be great. We are both looking forward to that.
Is it far off?
I said the next 5 or 6 years, that'd be a nice goal. But
Yeah.
we actually have decided next year, so 2024, we will periodically just do 1 or 2 every couple of months just to start the ball rolling. So, we can see what we need, how hard it is, and we'll start getting ready for when we do retire and travel more often. So, yeah, next year will be just weeding out, any teething problems we have so that as we go along, we'll get better and better at it.
I love that. And I love that, as you say, you're doing it as a team. I think that's really that's just a really nice way to honor each other on the journey of making candles and having a candle business. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of running your business. How do you complete all the tasks needing to be done?
I have a daily sheet. It's a sheet that I've made up, and on it I have the tasks that I absolutely have to complete for the day, and then the tasks I want to complete, but it's not the end of the world if I don't complete them. So I read a book once called Eat That Frog. Have you ever read that book?
I haven't read it, but I have heard of it.
Well, I've listened to it, and it's the weirdest voice when you're listening to it, but I go back and listen to that every couple of months because it just puts it in your mind. Eat the frog is the worst thing you could do that day. You should do that first. So usually at the top of my page is eat the frog, and then I have a list of things that are eat the frog, and then it's a list of things I want to do. So I have a daily planner, and then I have a weekly planner. So, if I've got customer orders or refills, they all go on the weekly planner. And then I have a monthly planner. So if I'm wanting to test a new scent, that goes on the monthly planner. And then I have a quarterly planner. So if I want to start testing in August for Christmas candles, it goes into August. And so then when I flip over to August, okay, I've got to start testing Christmas candles. Same thing at Christmas time. You get through that crazy Christmas rush. What candles do I want to make for Mother's Day? So that's, January, Mother's Day candles. I start getting myself organised. So daily planner, weekly planner, monthly planner, quarterly planner.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm sitting here just like all starry-eyed because I love diaries. I love like planning and organizing and having a system and having procedures in place. And it makes the process so much easier when you know what you actually needed to do. But then you can zoom out and see, looking at it, monthly or quarterly, making sure that you're actually hitting those bigger goals and longer term visions. But then you can zoom in and go, okay, this is what I actually need to do today. And then once you've done those items off the list, you can actually switch off and go, yeah, I've actually done enough for today. I know I've got my plan in place. I know that it's going to take care of itself as long as I just take action each day.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true because I'm just a small little micro business. I set myself like a goal of how many hours I want to do each week. So just say I want to do 20. I might only spend 4 hours a day in the candle room for like 3 days. And I try not to let it eat up the whole of my day. Some weeks are bigger because if I've got a market, there's a lot of work boxing up your candles, putting them into boxes, packing up the truck. So some weeks are a little bit bigger, or if I've got a couple of markets, I might do 25 hours, but I just don't want it to own me. So I'm very particular on trying to set boundaries with how much time I spend down there.
And again, that comes down to self-discipline, which I can see you've got that in spades. So yeah, that's a good thing. What's your favourite thing about what you do?
I love doing the markets. I absolutely love doing the markets. I love talking to people. I love telling them the stories behind the scents, like Tropical Nights is the first smell that I fell in love with. It was the first candle I made, or Santa's pudding. This reminds me of Grandma on Christmas Day. So I love the markets. I love the interactions with the candle addicts, but I love making the candles. I love experimenting with scents. I love burning them. Like people say, there's so much time and I'm not sure if I'm wording this properly, there's so much time and product wasted in testing. Whereas I look at it, oh my God, I love testing because I get to burn candles all the time, So, yeah, and I love decorating with candles. So like on my Facebook page, we talk about candle clusters or, having all gold candles or a statement piece or 3 little tiny candles on a beautiful pottery plate that's purchased from the op shops, So there's so many parts about candles I love. I love making them. I love going to the markets. I love decorating with them. I love the smell. Yeah, there's, too many to list.
I'm sitting here nodding because I'm exactly the same. I think when you find something that literally lights up your soul and makes you feel so happy, you just want to be immersed in it all the time. And I can see you're positively glowing with passion for your business and for candles in general. So it's so nice to know that we've got that passion, so that when we do have challenges that we face, we've got that sort of pushing us through, or not pushing, but it helps us carry through to continue to take action to grow our business in whatever direction we want.
And there are challenges, days where you challenge, like the other day I made something and because I'm a messy maker, I pulled something down, I had some breakages, and luckily they were all my breakages. And, some wax was spilled. It was a big mess. And I just had to walk away. And that's the good thing about having the candle cave. I just walked out, closed the door and went, I'm not in the right frame of mind. I just need to walk away. And then, my head clears and then I go back and I start again. So
what gives you motivation to keep going when you do come up against challenges?
Sometimes when I am challenged with the candles, sometimes I have to stop and I may burn a candle or make a candle just for me. You get so caught up in I need to make 15 of these and 10 of this and I've got to do this person's candles, and sometimes I will just make a candle for me in a scent that I'm never going to take to market, and then I may just sit down with a cup of tea and I'll burn that scent. I just need to reconnect with what I loved about it to begin with, because we all have moments where we think, what are we doing? But yeah, when I get to those moments, I just walk away, light a candle just for me and just think, oh, I love the smell of this candle. This is why I started doing it. So that's what I do. I have to just stop doing all the things that I absolutely think I've got to do this, I've got to do this. I stop, walk away, light that candle that I love and just breathe.
How do you define success?
Oh, I love this question too. I can still remember the first time I walked into a room and someone went, oh my God, you're the candle lady. And that was like a moment of success for me. That was like, yes. Again, I come back to the personal things. Like I can do a market, say a twilight market on a Friday night, and then I might have my regular market on a Sunday. So I may have someone buy something on a Friday night and then they'll message me and go, oh my goodness, your candle just smells so divine. Can you put away this, this, and this? And then they come back on the Sunday and they buy another 4 candles. That is success for me. I just love the way people interact with the candles. So it's not about the money thing. Of course, it's about the money thing. I always want to make sure that it's going ahead. I'm all about average cost of sale, how many candles I'm making, all of that sort of stuff. But success for me is when somebody goes, oh, you're the candle lady, or we love your candles, or you've got a great display. All of those things are success for me.
Making success about the people, not about the money, is so important. And I feel like many of the candle makers I speak to get sidetracked by the finances, and they just want to be making lots of money and they just want to get lots of sales and they want to get customers, when it's about, no, you need to shift your perspective. You're actually providing value to your customers. The sales will come as long as you're providing value and you're making those connections with the people. They're not just numbers. They're actual people with lives and with families. And it's so important to focus on how you can add value and how you can solve problems for your customers or your candle addicts.
Yeah, I have to say that is absolutely the success all the time. Just having those candle addicts come back and recognizing you. And even sometimes, I'm in a craft group, so I go along, it's a Tuesday night, all these ladies, we sit around, they're crocheting and, I'm slow mending because I love op shop clothing. And someone will go, oh my God, I know who you are. You're the lady that sells the candles in the big truck. And I go, yep, that's me. So yeah, those are the moments.
So we've come to one of my favorite parts of the podcast where I ask all my guests three questions relating to candles. Question number one, what is your favorite candle fragrance?
Well, I don't think I can list one. Again, I go back to stories. So when I first started, there was a few candle scents that I love. So they're my favourites. That I have like a top 10 list. So I have one called Tropical Nights, another one called Close of Day. And they are my favourites. Like if somebody comes along, they pick up the Tropical Nights and, oh, that smells so good. And then I'll say, oh, my God, that's the first scent I ever fell in love with. And people love those stories, but I genuinely love Tropical Nights and Close of Day. I'm really into, at the moment, Patchouli and Sandalwood. It is just such a big seller, and I genuinely, sometimes I'll light it and I'll be sitting there and I'll go, oh my God, what's it smell? And then I'll go, oh, it's a patchouli and sandalwood burning. So it's beautiful. I love musk lollies because it takes me back to my childhood. It's not a big seller at the market, but I love it. And I love Santa's pudding. Like, again, I mentioned that story about grandma's pudding, plum pudding on Christmas Day. For me, any candle that makes me think of something is what I love. I love sweet candles. And, yeah, I just love the sweet candles.
Number two, what do you love about candles?
Absolutely love the scent. I love decorating with candles. So we have a very Balinese house. So I never, ever, same display when somebody comes over. I move the candles around. I can have a candle cluster. I can have a single candle. I can have a statement candle. I can have an electric soy melter burning. I love that part of candles, especially with my jars, because my jars aren't just your normal sort of everyday jars. They're beautiful pieces. And for me, that's what makes them special. You can put them on your entranceway in your front foyer and you take the lid off. It's a hot summery day in Queensland and Tropical Nights fills the front entryway. You haven't even lit it. So that's what I love about the candles. I love the smells. I love decorating with them, and I love the ambience. If I come home from work, it's starting to get a little bit dark, I'll light, 10 candles. I'll have only one light on it. And then the room is just flickering with candlelight, and it's such an ambience. And, with the smell, the way they're decorated, the low lighting, that's the things I love about the candles.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I want to go light a candle now. And then the last question is, what is one piece of advice you'd like to give to candle makers during their journey?
When I first started making, because I was just making for myself, I probably didn't document as well as I should have. I'm really, really quite anal with it now, photos, videos, handwritten notes, spreadsheets, sheets that are all about how long it took to burn and notes. And I didn't do that to begin with. And I think if I had, there would have been 6 more years of notes I could refer back to. So definitely documenting it. The other thing I would say to people, especially if they're going to market, is to be consistent. You can't just go on market once or twice and expect to have a huge following. If you can get the same spot all the time, that's really, really good. So be consistent at market, and big factor at market is your display, making that display look good, tablecloths to the ground, and I never have my setup the same way twice. So whether it's, one time I'll have it grouped in price order, $20 to $40, $40 to $60, $60 and above. Other times it might be grouped in shapes, tall candles, little candles, vintage candles, travel candles, or it can be colour, gold candles, black candles, clear candles. And I'm always changing the display, white boxes, wooden boxes. I just think it keeps it fresh. If you're trying to be noticed at market, you want somebody to come along, and if they didn't stop last time, maybe they're going to stop this time because your display's set up different. And, oh, my goodness, this looks pretty, So, yeah, that would be my 3 biggest things. Document, be consistent, and have a good display at market.
So good. I think that's really sound advice. And I know that the listeners will be taking lots of notes from our conversation and will be re-listening to the episode, because it's just been full of so many amazing points and tips. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the listeners about either Revamped Treasures or anything to do with candle making?
I think as a candle maker, it's good to surround yourself with people that support you. So whether it's family or friends, it's always, you're always going to get that support. But when you're at market, I think it's important to get to know the other market stall holders. I actually make a point of going up and introducing myself to new market stall holders, candle makers as well. So I've had some good reactions and I've had some bad reactions. So you had Beck from Carnation Candles on a while ago. So after I listened to your podcast, I went up to Beck and introduced myself to Beck. And so we are quite friendly. We've had coffee, we talk, we message. I think that's part of being at a market, is embracing the community. I'm friends with earring makers, candle makers, honey makers, the people that sell the op shop clothes. It creates a community. So surround yourself with as much support. And yes, you can be friends with another candle maker. You don't have to share your secrets, but you can still support each other. So yes, if I was new and going to market, introduce yourself to everybody at market.
So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being on the podcast today. I've absolutely cherished everything that you've said and all the things that we've spoken about. I can't wait for the listeners to hear this episode. And for anyone that wants to get in touch with you, where can we find you?
I am on Facebook, Revamped Treasures on Facebook. I have an Instagram page, which I'm not quite as consistent on because most of my ideal candle addict is a little bit older, so they're still Facebook inclined. I have a TikTok page only because I wanted to claim the name before somebody else did, and Pinterest, so I'm on most of the platforms, but I'm not as regular on all of them as I am on Facebook. So yeah, they should go and have a gander, see what they think and have a look at, reels and just the interaction on there.
Thank you so much again for being on the podcast. I really appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks for having me. I really appreciate being here.
Thank you, my friend, for listening to this episode. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout the conversation, and please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you're feeling inspired, I would love it if you would write a review for the podcast and give a 5-star rating. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.